After brain cancer took away from me my ability to use the left side of my body and see properly, I lost my classroom. So I made the decision to travel the country and write about it. The book I wrote is the story of the trip that I took. I spent 101 days on the road visiting former students of mine, and I did make it to 75 former students, and I saw an additional 25 or 30 friends along the way. I'd always wanted to be an author. I just never felt like I had a story in me. All my best stories, all the best people I'd known had been my students in the classroom. So when I came up with the idea to write, the best thing I could think of was to write about them, to write about my kids and what had happened between us over the years. And their favorite lesson, and I say this without exception, all of my students loved doing the priority list. And at the beginning of the trip, I would go around and ask my kids, what do you remember from my class? And right away, that was always the answer. I remember doing the priority list. I remember how much it helped me to figure out who I was. And once I realized that that was their favorite assignment, it became a very good way to frame the book. The priority list is a list of 26 abstract words. Words like love, wealth, power, spirituality, career, education, and I had the students put them in order for themselves. Until you're put into that spot and really made to think it out and decide, nobody really has an idea for how important these things are. And that's what this list was designed to do, to help my students get in touch with themselves and figure out who they were, or at the very least, who they were at that given moment, because the list essentially became an emotional snapshot, an emotional and intellectual snapshot of them, but only at that moment. For all the people who told me that this trip was a bad idea, that I'm going off treatment, I'm going to be traveling in the winter in the coldest places in the country, and doing this blind and partially paralyzed, even my ex-wife thought this was a suicide mission, that I was just doing this to die, because I didn't want to die in a hospital bed. And that's not true at all. I didn't go out there to die, I went out there to live. As a teacher, I knew I was living a good life, a noble life, a life of honor. But I also wanted to have an honorable death. And for me, an honorable death is one in which you spend your very last moment well. And rotting away in a hospital bed did not feel like honor to me. So I went out on the road to meet my fate squarely. And should I get as lucky as I actually did and not die on the road, then I just got to see all my students and all these wonderful places. It was win-win.